Let's move on to comments from council members. Do we have any folks? Should I just go down the list and I'll just going to go how I see everybody? Linda, any comments?
Yeah, I do. A couple comments. Just wanted to ask if at our next meeting we can get an update on parking enforcement, because I've been hearing that there's enforcement happening. So just like a quick update would be great. And then I wanted to ask for an update on the Measure G committee, because since our last meeting that we discussed the bylaws in February, there was a period of time that we were waiting on a committee to form, and then we were told that there were 8 people and 1 dropped out. That should have been enough still to have interviews, and then interviews were canceled. And apparently now there's a whole new application process opening up again to get more people. And meanwhile, we're already charging the sales tax for whoever's open. So I am a little concerned about the process, and I just want to make sure it is moving forward, and that we're giving everybody who applied when the application period was open a fair chance. So hopefully we can get an update on that. The next item is just a reminder to everybody that tomorrow night, the San Bruno Park School District has their regular meeting, and they will be voting on the new superintendent. So that's a really big deal for our district. We have not had stability. I think we're going on 3 in 5 years. So if you want to tune in tomorrow, I think it's of interest to the entire city of San Bruno to have a strong superintendent. And then lastly, I just wanted to read a note that I got from a resident of San Bruno. His name is Lolo Villagomez, and he recently lost his brother-in-law, Augusto Navarrete, and he asked me to read this. So it's a couple of sentences. In memoriam, Augusto Navarrete was born in San Bruno, resident for 49 years, immigrating from Peru in 1971. He worked for many years at Bethlehem Steel and owned a construction business for 30 years, which he was proud of. Augusto was very outgoing, making it a point to introduce himself to everyone, and therefore having it a point to introduce him to everyone, and therefore having friends and acquaintances everywhere he went. He was stubborn at times, but most of all, he was generous and giving to everyone around him. He is survived by his wife, Amelia, and his loving family. He was one of a kind and will be greatly missed. He passed away from COVID-19 on April 24th, 2020. So if we could just have a moment of silence for Mr. Navarrete. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And Linda, if I may, before I go on to Michael, is when you said update parking enforcement, can you quantify what that means?
Yeah, at the last meeting, I had asked if we could maybe start enforcement, and I believe I had said something like maybe, charge half the rates because we're still in shelter in place and we weren't doing any enforcement. And then I guess at some point the enforcement started again. And so I'm just trying to find out where we are. Is enforcement, back to normal? Is it?
So you're asking for those ticketed, just so staff knows what direction. So those items that are being ticketed, whether it's blocking a sidewalk, whether it's blocking a driveway, you want to know, not maybe a number, but you want to know what are we enforcing at what level?
Yeah, I guess to make it simple, are we enforcing and what are we enforcing?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Michael?
Thank you.
Nothing from me.
Marty?
Yeah, I just wanted to share, I didn't know about Augusto's passing, and people are tired of COVID, the shelter in place, but we have to just kind of bear it out. And the longer we shelter in place, the less time we'll have to shelter in place. Dr. Morrow from our health officer said, if we were to pull all the restrictions, in 2 weeks we'd be in New York with just a slam of people at the hospital. And so as hard as it is, let's just do our best, stay at home as much as possible. I know we're driving each other crazy, at least in our house. We are just going nuts. But get out there in the garden, just try to come up with something else. It's a terrible, terrible thing we're dealing with, but the consequences of not doing it could be much, much worse. I would want to tag along with my neighbor across the street came out and said, "Hey, I got a ticket." And I said, "Oh yeah?" And I was like, "What am I supposed to do about it?" Yeah, I never got a ticket and she has a smaller car. And I think a little bit more of an explanation of what's happening about the parking enforcement, I think would be beneficial. It seems like we have an incredible team that is putting together these amazing videos, and that to show what the discretion the police officer would use to show that if you're 2 inches blocking half the sidewalk, whatever it is, that's going to get you a ticket, and why it's happening. And of course, I want to thank Chief Johansson. He's on social media on Nextdoor explaining, or I'm sorry, it wasn't him, but it was another officer explaining what's happening. By more people staying at home and walking around, there are probably more complaints that are coming to the police department saying, "I can't get around in my neighborhood. I have to walk into the street with my stroller or my wheelchair, or however it would be," that people are having these obstructions that are affecting the quality of their life. So thank you, everybody. Just keep on hanging in there. It's going to get a little bit better and a little bit better. Thanks.
Laura.
Thank you, Mayor Medina. So I just wanted to, again, thank staff for the continued support for the seniors in delivering meals to them. It's just a great thing that we offer. And so I hope that those that are in need are aware of that program. And so thank you for that. And finally, I just actually wanted to say that there's actually a job fair in Foster City, June 9th, that's from 10 to 2 at the rec center. So mark your calendars for those of you that are struggling, or pass the information along for those that are out of a job. There are companies hiring. It's crazy it is during this time. And so job fair, June 9th, 10 to 2 in Foster City.
Thank you. And kind of you hit on the meal program from the senior center. And I got a call from the county EOS, and through the 211, somebody had reached out and was offering somebody in our community, senior, and he called very concerned because he thought he was going to be put on a different program other than what the senior center offers. And he only wanted the senior center. And he thought it was great meals, great folks that deliver it. And so when the county person said, "No, you can continue that. You don't have to be taken off that to go to another program," he was elated. So from the county, they wanted to pass it on that kudos to San Bruno, but kudos to the staff and the team that are preparing and delivering. As was already indicated, they say that at some point we're all going to know someone who either has the disease or unfortunately succumbed to the disease. And months ago, people would have said, it's not going to be that much. We'll get through it very quickly. That is not the case. And we all see the news. We know it doesn't matter who you are, what title you have, in Washington or in California, in the White House or outside. You're vulnerable. And people need to wear masks. And even, again, we hear from our colleagues on county and others that the masks are still a concern. I think we need to be conscientious for each other. And it may not be the best, hard to breathe in at times, but really is a necessity in order to protect others. And when you come home, that you're protecting your family. So as we've all said, let's stay safe, stay healthy, and stay strong.